Hello, welcome to English for Everyone. Today we're going to talk about raising children. Is it difficult or easy to raise kids? And why sometimes it is difficult to raise children. Raising children. Raise is the simple action. Raising is the continuous action. I am raising 3 children. Raise is similar to take care of. When you take care of your kids from baby to adult, that is raise. You raise your children. Pronunciation, raise. R. A. Ray. Z. Raise. Raise. It's difficult to raise kids. Let's practice. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids.
Is it easy to raise kids?
It's not always easy to raise kids. It can be difficult to raise kids.
How many kids do you have? Is it easy to raise kids? Is it difficult to raise children? Very good. Why is it difficult to raise kids? Sometimes it can be difficult to raise children because they whine. Whine is the action. Not necessarily cry, but talk in this voice. I don't want to go. I don't want to. I want this. This talking in this voice is called whining. My children whine a lot. Whine. W. I. Y. Wine. My children whine and I drink wine. Let's practice. Why is it difficult to raise kids sometimes?
It's difficult to raise kids sometimes because they whine, and they whine a lot.
Why is it difficult to raise kids? Do they whine? That's right. Do they whine a lot or a little? Very good. Another reason it's difficult to raise kids, sometimes they have a meltdown. A meltdown is similar to a tantrum or a fit. This girl is having a tantrum. She's throwing a fit. But when the kids are a little older, they're not babies, we say they have a meltdown. They scream, slam doors, throw their books down, make noise. They have a meltdown. Meltdown. Me. O. Mel. T. Melt. D. Melt. D. Ow. Meltdown. Meltdown. What happens is the T is not really pronounced. You only hear the D. Meltdown. Down. Meltdown. My kids have a meltdown. Let's practice. So why is it difficult to raise kids?
It's difficult to raise kids because sometimes they have a meltdown.
Do your kids have a meltdown? Let's talk about consequences. Consequences is a clear thing when you punish your child. Spanking is one consequence. Time out is another consequence. So you can have 2 consequences. Or 3. No phone, no TV. You're grounded. That is another consequence. So when you punish your child, you have consequences. Punish is the action. Sometimes I punish my children. Like this, or like this. Also, discipline is an action. I discipline my children. Like this or like this. Now, if I don't have consequences, 0 consequences for my children, then I use discipline. I say there is no discipline in the house. Discipline is a thing too. There is discipline or there is no discipline. If there is no discipline, no consequences. And the child does whatever he wants. Consequences. K. A. Ka. Con. S. Cons. E. Conse. K. Consec. W. Consequ. conseque. Consequence. Consequence. 1, consequence. 2, consequence. Consequence. Z. Consequences. 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 Is there discipline in your house?
Yes, there is discipline in my house.
So, consequences. Do your children have consequences if they misbehave?
Yes, they have consequences if they misbehave.
Is there discipline in your house? Do your children have consequences when they misbehave? Very good. What consequences do your children have when they misbehave?
Well, I usually take their privileges away when they misbehave, or they're grounded sometimes.
What consequences do your children have when they misbehave? Very good. Sometimes when you're raising kids, you want to lecture them. Lecture is the action. To talk to the child, telling them, giving them instruction, what is right, what is wrong, are teachers. The teachers lecture the children in school. Parents lecture their children all the time. Lecture. Le, k, lek. Ch, lech. Chur, lecture. 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 I lecture my kids. Let's practice. Do you lecture your kids?
Oh yeah, I lecture my kids all the time.
What do you lecture them about?
I lecture them about doing their homework.
Do you lecture your kids? What do you lecture them about? Very good. When my students are learning, I am always patient with my students. And most of the time, I am patient with my children. But sometimes I am impatient, or I am not patient. When I tell them many times and they don't listen to me, I am impatient. Patient. Pay. Sh, peish. Patient. 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 I am patient most of the time. Impatient. Imp. Impay. Sh, impatient. 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 Are you always patient with your students?
Yes, I'm always patient with my students.
Are you patient with your children too?
Most of the time, I'm patient with my children.
Are you patient with your children? Very good. Are you impatient with your kids?
Sometimes I'm impatient with my kids.
When are you impatient with your kids?
I'm impatient with them when they don't listen to me.
Are you impatient with your kids? When are you impatient with your kids? Very good. So, I am patient. Patient is a description. I am always patient with my students. I have patience. Patience is something you have. I have patience, usually with my kids. But sometimes the action, the process here is lose. Sometimes I lose my patience, or I lose patience with my children. And I'm like this. Lose patience. Lose. Loo. Z, lose. Lose. Patience. Pay. Sh, peish. Peixe. patience, patience. Lose patience. I have patience, but sometimes I lose patience, or I lose my patience. When do you lose patience with your kids?
I lose patience with my kids when they don't listen to me.
When do you lose patience with your kids? Very good. And what do you do when you lose your patience?
When I lose my patience, I yell at them sometimes.
What do you do when you lose your patience? Very good. Sometimes, after I lose my patience and I yell at my kids, I feel bad. I feel bad, or I feel guilty. Guilty is like responsible for something you did bad. Guilty. G, I, G, U, gil, T, guilt. E, guilty, guilty, guilty. I feel guilty sometimes. What do you do when you lose patience with your kids?
When I lose patience with my kids, sometimes I yell at them.
What do you do when you lose patience with your kids? Very good. When you yell at them, do you feel guilty sometimes?
Yes, when I yell at them, I feel guilty.
When you yell at your kids, do you feel guilty sometimes? Very good. When you raise your kids, there are different ways to raise your kids. Some parents are different. Some parents are strict. All the rules, all the time. Be home at 8, not 8:05. Every rule, all the time. Strict. This mother is very strict. And this mother is relaxed with the rules. Not every rule every time. So she is laid back. Strict. S, t, st. Stir. I, stri. K, strick. T, strict. 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 I am not very strict. Laid back. Laid back. Laid. Lay. D, laid. Laid. Back. 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 Laid back. One word. Laid back. I am laid back. Let's practice. What kind of parent are you? Are you strict or laid back?
I think I'm more strict than laid back.
Very good. What kind of parent are you? Are you strict or laid back? Very good. Another kind of parent? An overprotective mother. The child cannot go outside at night. Don't do that, it's dangerous. Don't jump on the bed, it's dangerous. Everything is dangerous. Always be careful. That is an overprotective mother. Overprotective. O. V. Ove. Over. Over. Protective. P. Per. Pr. T. Prut. Protect. K. Protect. T. Protect. I. Protected. V. Protective. Protective. Overprotective. Together, overprotective. One word. Overprotective. Overprotective. I am not an overprotective mom. Let's practice. Are you an overprotective mother?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm an overprotective mom.
Are you an overprotective parent? Very good. Action, praise. It's important to praise your child when they do something good. You tell them, good job, great job. So to tell them they did a good job, praise. The action, I try to praise my children when they do good. Praise. P. Per. A. Pray. Z. Praise. 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 I need to praise my kids more. When do you praise your kids?
I praise my kids when they do good in school.
Do you try to praise them more?
Yes, I try to praise them more. I think it helps.
When do you praise your kids? Do you try to praise them more? Do you think it's important? Very good. When I yell at my kids, that is negative. Negative reinforcement. Praise. When I praise my kids, praise is the action. And it is positive reinforcement. So praising your children is good. It's positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is good. Positive reinforcement. Positive. P. A. Pa. Z. Pause. I. Posit. T. Posit. I. Positive. V. Positive. Positive has two pronunciations. I can use the T, positive, or D, positive, div, positive, or positive. Positive. Reinforcement. R. E. Re. I. Re. Re. Rein. F. Reinf. Or. Reinfor. S. Reinforce. Reinforcem. E. Reinforceme. Reinforcement. T. Reinforcement. 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 Positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement. Do you believe in positive reinforcement?
Yes, I believe in positive reinforcement.
Do you believe in positive reinforcement? Very good. Why do you believe in positive reinforcement?
I believe in positive reinforcement because I think it helps them behave.
Why do you believe in positive reinforcement? Very good.